So I wanted to come and give an update on what's been going on with us. I apologize for the delay. Brandon and I made the very last minute decision to take on both of his mother-in-law, or his mother's cats, or my mother-in-law's cats, because the one was ours. Originally, both of Doreen's dogs died within about 4 months of each other, about 2 years ago, and we all kind of had this inclination that she might need to have an animal that didn't outlive her by any means. And this cat that we lent her had lived with her, with Brandon, when I met him. And it was just the easiest decision. She's the one cat in our house that actually preferred to live alone. And so she had been with Doreen about the last 2 years. And we had no issue taking her back just because that was the intention. We would take care of her vet bills, take her back if she needed us to, etc., etc. But in the meantime, Doreen babysat a cat from Leduc Rant and Rave. Somebody then blocked her and left her with the cat, and unfortunately, poor Roxy is a black cat and did not have anywhere to go. And unfortunately, I had some comments about like people wanting to take her, but they were in my home province, and so we are going to look at basically being her foster / temporary situation. Did I want 4 cats and 3 dogs in 31 feet of trailer? No. That is literally my definition of insanity, and I'm living it. I'm allergic to cats. My 2 cats that live here already are extremely well fed to maintain my allergies, and that works really well for me. Along with allergy medications and other things for management. But these 2 cats were not fed good food. They were fed Whiskas, Friskies, like that kind of garbage. So we have them started on better food. They are now with us because they were pretty desperately lonely in the apartment building, and we are in a rush to try to get Doreen placed in a home, and that does come with a daily fee. And so getting her out of her apartment was necessity. I know some people were curious about us helping her in context with the GoFundMe money, and we are not giving any of it to her directly. We are just using the money for us to be able to provide the assistance that we normally would if Brandon was working, and that being affording extra cat food to take on the 2 cats, affording extra gas to go and help move the apartment, or to help Tyler rent a rental truck to help get rid of all the furniture and make a thrift store drop, for donation, because most of it's going. So, other than the few things that she decides she wants to keep. And so, yeah, I wouldn't worry about us like handing us anything over. This is just so that we are able to support the family in the way that we would normally want to be able to. The other update is that it's taken me about 7 days to get the MRI sent to the clinic in Cyprus, Europe. And now I know a lot of people are probably like, why are you guys shooting for Europe out of all the things? But the truth is the amount of Canadian neurologists who believe Tarlov cysts can be symptomatic are 2. One in Toronto and one in Vancouver, and they're pretty well known, but they also do the 2 needle method, and that involves taking the cerebral spinal fluid out of the cyst and then followed by filling it with fibrin glue. And while some people have great success with the surgery, there is a good portion of people who talk about it working for a while and then them needing follow-up treatment. And because it's a CSF fluid problem, a lot of people actually need the cysts wrapped and shunted, and getting the cysts filled with fibrin glue greatly reduces your ability to follow through with that surgery. And so Brandon and I are just shooting for the ultimate way to get him fixed and back on his feet. Ideally, I don't want to see him go and get a temporary type treatment and then be unable to fix himself for the rest of his life, because this is something that does often reoccur. And the idea of shunting something that does have such significance like cerebral spinal fluid, this is a highly used method for other issues with the spinal cord and the brain, so it just would make sense to me to go that route. And we are submitting the MRI so that we can get a consultation with the only known specialist who does the surgeries to wrap these cysts, other than another specialist in California, but this is the man who invented them, Dr. Frank Feigenbaum. And so his surgery in Texas is anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000. And being that most people who are not U.S. patients cannot afford that, he has developed a clinic or co-aligned with a clinic in Cyprus, Europe, to provide surgeries to people who are not U.S. patients, Canada, Australia, Japan, like you name it. And they provide an entire, basically like a package experience, and they lay everything out cost-wise, and the consultation is free. So Dr. Frank Feigenbaum himself, or Dr. F, will actually consult Brandon's MRIs himself and tell Brandon what he thinks is the best possible outcome, how to proceed here in Canada, in the meantime, medications, injections, etc. And right now, that's the only advice we're willing to take, just because he is so specialized. We are also going to be filling out his paperwork for disability, because the wonderful walk-in doctor who's been helping us believes that even though he's not technically diagnosed with something that's always considered symptomatic, being that there's so little known about them, but it is more about his symptoms being debilitating. And so the fact that he is debilitatingly in pain and unable to go to the bathroom and unable to sleep and all of the things, that would probably warrant him for disability. And so she's willing to fill out that paperwork if we bring it to her and pay her to fill it out. And so we are in the process of getting that done as well. So one step at a time. I apologize that we've kind of been MIA, but this is kind of a one-step process kind of deal. And the MRI would not load on their site. I tried twice. The second time, I realized that the email said it had sent 999 files, which I realized in my brain was a cap. And so I checked, and the MRI files were about 1,200 in size. And so I had to go through and send 15 emails of all the files separated just to make sure they went through. That still did not work, and so I actually put it into my OneDrive and sent them my OneDrive link, and that did work. We got email today that it's worked, and so we have our fingers crossed that we hear back this next week from them about a consultation, and we hope to keep you updated on how that goes. So thank you for listening and being along for the journey.